The night didn't start with courage or romance or destiny. It started with headlights cutting through rain and the heavy feeling that comes when you're the only sober one left, carrying responsibility you never asked for. I remember gripping the steering wheel tighter than usual, my heart pounding not from speed, but from fear, because I was driving someone I cared about toward a moment that would quietly change everything. That was the night I dropped my drunk friend off at home, believing I would leave her at the door and disappear back into my ordinary life, never imagining the door would open to a future I wasn't prepared for. If you believe that kindness can change lives, that second chances matter, and that one small decision can rewrite an entire story. Please like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this. Her name was Abigail, and she had always been the kind of person who laughed too loudly, cared too deeply, and drank too much when she was trying to forget. We had known each other for years, drifting between friendship and something unspoken, both too cautious to step over the invisible line. That night, the party had gone wrong in the quiet way things often do. No shouting, no drama, just Abigail sitting on the porch steps with glassy eyes, insisting she was fine while clearly not being fine at all. I couldn't leave her there. The United States felt vast and lonely in moments like that, even in a small town where everyone waved at each other during the day but closed their doors at night. So I drove her home, listening to the hum of the engine and the uneven rhythm of her breathing, wondering how someone so full of life could look so lost. Her house sat at the edge of town, framed by tall trees and memories I didn't yet understand. When I helped her inside, she barely made it to the couch before sleep claimed her. I was ready to leave, ready to slip back into the darkness and pretend the night never happened, when her mother appeared from the hallway. Her name was Margaret, a woman with kind eyes and a tired smile that suggested she had lived through more than she let on. She looked at her daughter sleeping on the couch, then at me. And in that moment, I felt judged, measured, and somehow understood all at once. I expected suspicion or anger. Instead, there was something gentler in her expression, something that made me hesitate. Margaret didn't raise her voice or accuse me of anything. She simply took in the scene, the rain-soaked jacket, the concern written across my face, the daughter she knew was hurting, and made a decision that would ripple far beyond that night. She asked me to stay, not out of obligation, but out of trust. And that invitation, simple as it was, felt heavier than any demand could have been. Staying meant responsibility. It meant facing the truth that Abigail wasn't just a friend I occasionally worried about. She was someone whose pain had become intertwined with my own. I stayed because leaving felt like abandoning something unfinished. I sat in the quiet living room while Margaret brought a blanket and gently covered her daughter. The house creaked with the familiar sounds of old wood settling, and outside the rain softened into a whisper. Margaret made tea and spoke about Abigail's childhood, about how she had always felt things more deeply than others, how she struggled to find her place in a world that didn't slow down for sensitive souls. There were no dramatic confessions, just the steady release of years of concern from a mother who loved fiercely and worried constantly. That night stretched longer than I expected. Sleep came in fragments, interrupted by the sound of Abigail stirring or the distant call of an owl outside. I lay awake on the couch in the guest room, staring at the ceiling and thinking about all the times I had ignored the signs, all the moments I could have been braver, kinder, more present. The house felt like a sanctuary and a mirror at the same time, reflecting my own hesitations back at me. Morning arrived quietly. Sunlight filtered through lace curtains, illuminating dust motes and the soft edges of a new day. Abigail woke with the familiar weight of regret, confusion flickering across her face as she tried to piece together the night before. I didn't lecture her or offer empty reassurances. I simply made coffee, sat nearby, and stayed. Sometimes staying is the bravest thing you can do. Over the following weeks, something shifted. Abigail began to talk, not all at once, not dramatically, but in small, honest pieces. She spoke about feeling like a disappointment, about chasing numbness because feeling everything hurt too much. I listened, learning that love doesn't always look like grand gestures. Sometimes it's quiet consistency, showing up even when it's uncomfortable. Margaret watched us with cautious hope, her trust a fragile gift I was determined not to break. The challenges didn't disappear. Abigail stumbled more than once, and there were nights when fear crept back in, whispering that nothing would change. I struggled too, torn between wanting to help and knowing I couldn't save her on my own. There were moments when I questioned whether I was strong enough to be part of someone else's healing when I was still figuring out my own life. But each time doubt rose, I remembered that night. The rain, the open door, the invitation to stay, and I chose not to run. Time passed, measured in small victories. Abigail found healthier ways to cope, leaning on support beyond just me. Laughter returned, lighter and more genuine. Margaret's shoulders seemed less burdened, her smiles more frequent. And somewhere in the middle of all that healing, I realized that my feelings had changed too. What began as concern had grown into something deeper, steadier, rooted in shared vulnerability rather than fantasy. One evening, months later, I stood in that same living room, now filled with warmth instead of worry. Abigail sat across from me, fully present, her eyes clear. There was no need for dramatic declarations. The truth lived in the space between us, in the way we had chosen each other again and again through uncertainty. Love, I learned, isn't about rescuing someone. It's about walking beside them while they learn to stand on their own. As the seasons turned, our story became something quieter than the movies, but richer than I ever expected. It was built on trust earned slowly, on forgiveness extended inward as much as outward. Margaret once told me that the hardest part of being a parent is knowing when to step back and let others help carry the weight. Her decision that night to invite me in wasn't just kindness, it was courage. She allowed someone else to be part of her daughter's journey, and in doing so, she changed the course of all our lives. Looking back, I understand now that the night I dropped my drunk friend off at home wasn't an ending at all. It was a beginning disguised as inconvenience, a reminder that the most meaningful moments often arrive unannounced, wrapped in ordinary circumstances. Staying over wasn't about convenience or comfort. It was about choosing compassion when it would have been easier to leave. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of someone you care about or a moment when staying made all the difference, please take a moment to like, comment, and share this video. Your engagement helps these stories reach others who might need them. And before this story ends, I want to ask you one special thing. Please comment below and share whether you believe one act of kindness can truly change a life. Because I do. I believe it with every part of me. I believe in open doors on rainy nights, in mothers who trust, in friends who stay, and in the quiet power of choosing not to walk away. Sometimes, the most extraordinary love stories don't begin with fireworks or fate. They begin with a simple decision to stay over and a heart willing to see what morning brings.